going on, viewers? Rick here at Rick's Automotive. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the steps that I take to change the oil on this Nissan GTR. Got the GTR's owner's manual. If you open this up, the manufacturer calls for Mobile 1 0W40 100% synthetic, which is what we have. Takes about 5.25 to 5.5 quarts, so we've got 6 quarts here. Also got a genuine OEM Nissan oil filter and a new drain bolt crush ring. First thing I'm going to do is lay down some fender covers to protect the customer's paint. Next, I removed the oil cap, installed a clean funnel. I'm going to go ahead and raise this up in the air and start draining the oil. Got the vehicle in the air. Next, I'm going to take off the engine splash shield. I got 10mm bolts. So you got 4 here in the back. You've got some clips along the side. Looks like one's missing. Have to replace that when we reinstall it. You've got 2 10mm bolts in the front. Those are the 2 you can see. You also have got 4 more underneath these plastic plugs here in the front. Have to remove those plugs to access those 10s. And the same on this side. You got a couple plastic clips you have to come off. Well, I should leave this on. This is just for the drain bolt. Since we're servicing the oil and the filter is located about right here. This whole thing has to come off, so I'm going to remove that next. All the 10s and plastic clips have been removed. So you're going to grab the back here. Get a little opening. You can pull this down a little bit, and you're going to pull it back towards you, towards the rear of the car. And it slides out like so. Set that down. And you can see there's your oil filter. And there is your drain plug. That's a 14mm, so you want to grab a 14mm wrench next, and we'll start draining the oil. Okay, while the oil finishes draining, I'm going to go and remove the oil filter. While that oil finishes draining, I've got the drain plug here. This is the crush ring that came off the drain plug. These are a one and done, one use only. Use them once and then replace them every oil change. That way you don't run any leaks. So I'm going to go ahead and put a new crush ring on the drain plug and then put this back in. I have the new oil filter. I've been adding some oil to it. That way when we go to start up the engine for the first time, there's no delay in oil pressure. I always like to prime the oil filters. I've also got some new engine oil around the seal here. And I've got the mating surface of this on the block cleaned off from all the residual oil from the oil filter. So this is ready to be installed. New oil filter installed. Got the drain plug tight and torqued. Got a torque wrench there. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean off all this oil here. Just got some brake clean. Just using a shop rag just to make sure I didn't miss anything with the brake clean. Nothing worse than getting home and having oil spots on your driveway. Everything is now cleaned off. There's no residual oil left behind. Everything's good and nice and shiny. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop this back down. And I'm not gonna put that plastic shield back on just yet. I'm gonna go put some engine oil in this thing first, start it up and let it run and check for leaks. I've got the 4th and 5th quart of engine oil just finished draining into the engine. Those are empty, so now we have exactly 5 quarts of engine oil inside of the engine. That includes the small amount we put into the oil filter to prime it. So we're gonna stop right there, check the oil level on the dipstick. This is a little difficult with one hand. I don't want to make a splash when this thing comes out here. And you can see it's just below the high mark on the dipstick. And so what I'm going to do now is start the engine, let it build a little bit of oil pressure, and I'll turn it off and then come back out here and recheck the oil level. And we'll set the oil level to the customer's preference. There's actually 2 levels we can set the oil level to, which I'll show you here in just a moment. You can see where the oil level is now after I started the engine. It's between the low and the high mark. This would be a good time to show you those 2 different settings on the dipstick for the oil level. Once again, I'm referring to the owner's manual. I've got the book turn to page GTR 14. It's in the very front of the manual. There's a picture that shows you the end of the dipstick and a paragraph below it It reads, Nissan recommends to adjust engine oil level to be, I do millimeters here, so 10 millimeters below the H mark on the engine oil dipstick. The picture shows you what it looks like, and I'll show you what it looks like on the actual dipstick. It has the circle as the center line for measurement, so I did the same. Got the gauge lined up with the circle, and 10 millimeters down, that's what the gauge is set to. That's where the line would be on the dipstick for the full level. This customer's requested to fill it up to the actual full mark, so I will do that for him. But if you were actually doing it per the manual, this is where your dipstick would read full at. Customer's request, I now have the oil level set. So I'm gonna go ahead and install the dipstick. Put the oil plug back on, start it back up, double check the oil level. Just started the engine again. Let it build some oil pressure, turn it back off, and the dipstick still reads full, so we're good to go. The oil change is pretty much done at this point. Still have to reset the maintenance, the oil life percentage on the maintenance screen inside, which I'll show you how to do in just a moment. And we have to install that splash shield underneath the engine and check for leaks. But first, before I raise the car back up, I started the multi-point inspection, which we do here with every oil change here at Rick's. Consists of basically, we check all your major wear items, like your brakes, your lights, wipers, battery, tires, check for any fluid leaks, check your suspension. So we'll start over here at the battery. There's a plastic piece here we have to remove. We're testing, what we're doing here is we're testing the cold cranking amps. This particular battery tests at 562 cold cranking amps. It's rated at 425. So there's plenty of juice still left in this customer's battery. We go over here to the driver's side in the same location. Had to remove this plastic shield to access the master cylinder. Brake fluid is reading at the max line, which tells me the brake pads probably are not worn. So that is usually an indication of wear. This should read between the max and the minimum. And the fluid is extremely transparent and clean, so there's no moisture contamination, so the brake fluid looks good. We'll go to the front of the car. We have the coolant reservoir. It reads between the minimum and the maximum lines, which is good. This will vary with temperature, but that's where you want it to read there. And then we have the power steering fluid, which this reads a little low, so we'll go ahead and add some fluid for the customer. Next we'll go on to the air filters. So this one I've already got removed. You got one on the passenger side, one on the driver's side. To remove the filter, just take these clips, pull them back towards the front of the car. There's two of them. Sorry, towards the front of the car. And there's a handle. The plastic housing just slides out. Inside is the air filter. That looks pretty dirty. And let's check the other one. Oh man, what in the world? You got some peanuts down there. Yeah, so I'll definitely want to contact the customer, let them know you don't want that making the way into the engine. That would be terrible. And the filter looks pretty bad too, so I'll have to put that down on the inspection. Next, I'm going to go ahead and raise the car up, and we'll check the brakes, the tires, and check for any leaks back in the transmission area. We also check the drive belt condition, which is kind of hard to see on video, but I've already checked it. There's no cracks, and there's no obvious leaks anywhere up top here. So we're good to go. Here in the engine bay. We'll go ahead and raise the car back up and check underneath the car. Okay, I've got the car raised in the air. What we're doing here is we're checking the brake pad thickness. I've done this on all four tires. This is the last one. This one measures at 8 millimeters like the others, which is great. New brake pads are typically between 8 to 12 millimeters. And the rotors visually look great as well. These GTRs are notorious for cracks around these holes for the cross-drilled rotors. There's no evidence of any high-speed braking or any glazing or any heat marks, so this customer's pretty good on the brakes. You can't check the inner brake pad with that tool, so what you can do is come around to the back side here, and you've got the inside part of the caliper. You can use your hand and you can feel the thickness of the brake pad itself. If you had a flashlight, you could actually see the brake pad here, pretty much the entire inside of the brake pad, so you can see if it's wearing unevenly versus, compared to the outside. Definitely want to check that. We also check your inner and outer axle boots, your sway bar links, your ball joints. We give the tires a shake to make sure your tie rod ends are good. We also check your tire tread depth, and we check the entire tire. We just don't do a spot check. Cars like the GTRs, where they have negative camber, are going to have more wear on the inside versus the outside as time goes on, so you don't want to just check in one spot. So we got 9:30 seconds on the outside, 9:30 seconds, 9:30 seconds, and 9:30 seconds. So tires are all even, about 8 to 9:30 seconds, so that's good. Next, we're going to go on and set the tire pressure. Cold tire pressure for the GTR is at 29 psi. And once we're done here, we'll raise the car back up a little more, put that splash shield back on, check the transmission area for any leaks, and lower it back down. Reset the maintenance light, show you how to do that, and we'll take it for a quick spin. To reset the oil life, you want to go on the display here and hit Info. And once you're on Info, you want to hit Maintenance. And we're going to select Engine Oil. And this customer wants it to be at 3,000 miles. So you'll see here, this whole thing is red. And then once you set your interval, you'll hit Reset Distance, and it'll go away, and you'll have an arrow here. That's at 3,000 miles. So it'll kind of count down until you're due again. Then it'll turn back to red. Next, we'll do oil filter. Same interval. We'll do 3,000 miles. And hit Reset. And hit back. And he's all set for that. Tires, he's going to leave alone, but that's how you reset the engine oil and the oil filter. With the oil life reset, the only thing left to do is just go take it for a quick spin, bring it back, and just triple check, make sure the fluids are still good, make sure there's no fluid leaks before we give it back to the customer. But I need 2 hands to do that. So I appreciate you taking time to watch this video. Hopefully it helped you. If it did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.